look at that. They're ready.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty good internal clock, so they kind of know what's going on.
Oh, gotcha.
Then we'll wait right there just a moment.
He's nibbling at the chair. Capelin, herring, anchovy.
I'm not gonna remember that.
Anchovy's a small one, caplin's mid-size, herring's a big one.
I remember hearing. I don't know.
If it's blinking red, then it's on.
Okay, it is. I just didn't know how low your head had to be.
Alright, you guys want to come on?
Sure thing.
Gate closes on today. Like the lock is still on a little bit.
Should we?
Good morning, everybody. Is that good?
Let's pull back away a little bit. There we go.
All right. We're getting ready to start our morning penguin feeding here today. My name is Savannah. I'm an assistant aviculturist here at the National Aviary. Recording our penguin feeding today will be Chris, one of our senior aviculturists. And feeding our penguins
This is the
will be
ancient.
two guest feeders, Casey and Connor.
This is Sydney
If
here.
any of you are interested in learning about the penguin feeding experience that we offer here at the aviary, you should make sure to talk to the admissions desk about that on your way out today. Now, your best view for the penguin feeding will be outside.
I think this
in the
one's too
window,
big
the big
for her.
window by the beach. If you're inside, you're probably not going to be able to see as much because they are right here in front of the big window. So,
Wanna try it
here at the
again?
National Aviary, we have African penguins. And
Okay.
so a lot of people are surprised to find out that there
Yeah.
are penguins in Africa. These penguins are a temperate species, so they do not really like the cold snow and ice that you find in Antarctica.
Okay, Sydney.
There are
Fair enough.
actually 18 different species of penguins in the world, and of those 18 species, only 4 can actually be found in Antarctica at all. Of course, these are some of the most famous species, including the emperor penguin, which is
So
well
Betty's
known
more
in a
the
lot of
capelin
movies
eater,
and
the
things.
small one.
The small one?
Now, there are actually
There we
of those
go.
4 species in Antarctica, only 2, the emperor and the Adelie penguins, actually are able to live there year-round. The others just come in the summer to go
How can I
fishing.
help you here?
So they're pretty unique for penguins, actually.
There
Most
you
of our
go.
penguins are either temperate, like our African penguins that we have at the aviary,
Is this one?
or tropical.
Is that the right one?
All penguins are found in the southern hemisphere, but they
And the
do
ones that
come
are
right up to
hanging
the
out up here,
equator.
they're the ones
We
that
have
are
a
pets.
penguin in
What's
the
that?
Galapagos Islands.
Oh,
And
okay.
there are many
This
other
is the
species
anchovy?
in South
Capelin?
America, Africa, Australia, places such as that. So, winter is actually our penguin's least favorite
Aw, you
season here
dropped
at the aviary. We have to have a lot of heating elements in our habitat to make sure that they can be comfortable out here year-round. And these guys much prefer the summer.
They're not wanting to.
Now, penguins are a really unique group of birds, so I'd like to talk for a few minutes about some of the adaptations they have that help them to swim in the oceans and catch fish, because they are very good at this. Now, of course, penguins are birds.
You got one
This
to your
means
left
They have
there.
feathers, not fur, although they may look like they have fur. This is just because their feathers are packed in
So,
so
if you guys
tightly
wouldn't
on their
mind,
bodies.
that's
It works like a
Patrick.
wet
Pat?
Oh, yeah.
That's one right there.
The one right there on the left.
Oh, okay.
Ocean water
wanna try and get
gets
that
off the
to her?
coast of South Africa, where these
Welcome
guys
back.
live.
Amazing.
So, flighted birds will generally have about 10 to 14 feathers per square inch.
Yeah, get
In
that.
contrast, penguins can have more like 70 to 90 feathers per square inch. So they actually have pretty
Perfect.
typical looking
Thank
feathers.
you.
They're
You're
just really
welcome.
packed in there.
You want this one?
Something else a lot of people notice about our penguins' feathers is those cute little speckles they have on their tummies. They kind of have freckles. And these freckle patterns are actually unique to each penguin. It's kind of like a fingerprint. So that is one way that you can
No?
tell them apart,
Oh, there you go.
identify the different individuals. But to make it easier, we do put name bands on our penguins, as you no doubt observed. We do band male penguins on the right and females on the left. You may notice that we have a penguin named Patrick, who is banded on the left. That is because Patrick is actually a female. We did name her before we found
There you
out
go.
what her sex was, since you cannot tell penguins apart, male and female, by looking at them. They're not sexually dimorphic.
No?
Now, some other adaptations these guys have are, they have a nictitating membrane across their eye. This is a
Nice.
clear third eyelid that they can close when they're underwater, and it works like a built-in set of goggles.
Will he
for them.
catch up here?
If you watch them carefully when they jump in the water, you may be able to see them opening it or closing it. And these are not
This
unique
is a
to
big
penguins.
one.
A lot of other animals have
No?
them too. If you have a cat, you might have seen them close that third eyelid because it moves side to side across their eye rather than up and down like the regular eyelids. But these guys do move in the correct direction to stop water from getting in their eyes. So it's very helpful for them. Of course, their wings have also been modified into flippers, and this means that they can swim very fast. They may be small, but these guys can actually reach speeds of 15 to 20 miles per
Elvis.
hour if underwater, if they're really trying. And this is, of course, very important for them to avoid predators and also to catch fish. And they use their flippers to propel themselves, and their feet, their webbed feet, are just used for steering. And this is why they can go so fast. Diving ducks generally have to use their feet to propel themselves because their wings are not built for it. They're built for flying.
Ah.
So that's one reason that penguins are so good at swimming. Another cool adaptation these guys have is their beaks. If you look closely while they're eating and look at their tongues, you'll see they're kind of spiky looking. This actually helps them to grab onto fish better, and it works like a conveyor belt to pull it down their throat. You'll notice that they do like to eat the fish head first.
Yes.
They do this in the wild as well, and that helps them, well, make sure that the scales of the fish are sliding the right way down their throat and not scraping them on the way down. And the beaks are also very sharp, which does also help them to grab onto fish. So if you notice, we do have signs asking you not to stick your hands into the habitat. There is a good reason for that.
Want to try this again?
Now, another cool thing about these guys
Is he like this one?
He's hungry. I don't know which one he wants though.
A lot of birds have this. It produces an oil.
Which one
that
does
helps
Fig
make
like?
their feathers
It
waterproof.
only just about
So you might see
anything.
them preening near the base of their tail and preening it up across the other feathers. That
You may be
helps
done.
them
But,
stay
I mean,
waterproof
try the
in the
herring.
water.
You may eat that.
Now, unfortunately, I do have to tell you,
No?
these guys are
He's
super
thinking about it.
endangered. They are listed as critically endangered.
Yeah, no, I
And
don't
this
think
is
he
due
wants it.
to a number of human impacts on them. So the number one thing that's hurting these guys is overfishing. We, as humans, are just taking way too many of the fish out of the ocean, and we'll take giant nets and catch like a whole school of fish at once. Whereas
looked
these
taller than
guys
what he
will
was.
just eat a couple fish at a
like
time. So this is really hurting pretty much everything that
Fig,
lives
you're
in the
like
ocean,
wanting
but
some, but you're
these
not.
guys as well. And
What about an
there are
anchovy
some
there,
things
Fig?
you guys
No?
can do to help. If you are buying any seafood, you can get a seafood watch app. It's from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and this will tell you while you're shopping which fish are sustainable and which fish, if you
Fig,
buy them, you will be contributing to our overfishing problems and hurting these guys and other animals. It will also suggest a good alternative for you.
It's like
if
he
you
wants it, but he's like,
decide
I don't
on
know.
fish
There
There you
you
go.
tells you
Good for you,
shouldn't buy it.
Fig.
It'll give you a suggestion of something you could get instead. Another thing that's hurting these guys is actually climate change.
There you go.
You
No.
might think these guys would be fine with the world's warming
Okay,
up since
big.
they live in a warmer
Yep.
spot. They're not in
Look at
Antarctica, depending on the ice. But actually, the climate change is hurting these guys.
Oh, oh.
Where our ocean currents are found. So there is a cold water current that wells up from the south and brings a lot of nutrients up to the surface. There's tons of fish found in this current. It's off the coast of South Africa, and this is where they get most of their fish. But unfortunately, this current is slowly moving further and further away from the coast of Africa, meaning that these guys have to travel further and further to find their food.
Oh,
Another
sorry.
thing that's hurting these guys is actually trespassing into their breeding grounds. So these guys breed on beaches. They dig burrows and they solidify the burrows and prop them up with their own guano. And this makes a nice safe place for them to raise their chicks.
Is that another
But
one
a lot
that's
of
moldy?
guano has actually been harvested
going
off the
to soon,
beaches
yeah.
by
Oh,
people
okay.
That's Tribby.
because
Tribby,
And then
okay.
Patrick's
we
the
use
one
it for
behind all
fertilizer.
that.
Yeah.
So that is is actually a problem that's hurting these guys. One thing people are trying to do to help is we're actually installing man-made burrows on some of their beaches to replace what we've taken away. You can see an example of one of these burrows. It's kind of like a white igloo-shaped structure, right on exhibit, kind of in the center here. These burrows are being put out by a program called SAFE, which stands for Saving Animals from Extinction. And we are part of that program. We participate, and we are trying to make sure that these guys have places to breed in the future. Now, they just installed hundreds and hundreds of these burrows out in Africa, and we're seeing a really high use rate for them, so that's a very good sign. Another thing that's hurting these guys is just people disturbing their beaches, of course, but they are trying to make laws down in South Africa
wasting
to help
so many
protect
fish.
some of their beaches from
I think they're done.
because of course
Yeah.
people like beaches as well.
All right, so if you guys want to stay seated,
Cool.
I'll do a quick cleanup
And
here.
it looks like our penguins are pretty much wrapping up their breakfast here. But if you guys have any questions about penguins,
Oh yeah.
I am going to be around Penguin Point for the next few minutes. Please feel free to come up and ask. And
So
otherwise,
cool. I love
please
being
enjoy
so
the rest of your
close.
visit today at the National Aviary.
Fig was my buddy, but he didn't like to eat a whole lot.
So, especially those penguins like Fig or Elvis or Sibby that eat the bigger fish,
Uh-huh.
they sometimes will just like